Well, good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Eric Collins. I'm the District Public Image Chair. I'm also on the training committee and a few other things. I honestly don't remember what all I'm attached to, a little bit of everything. But I'm happy to be here, and I want to let Jen introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Thanks, Jen Dresser, member of the Albuquerque Metro Rotary Club, assistant governor for a few clubs in the central area, and our Empowering Girls District representative.
And if you all would go ahead and all unmute yourselves, this one we want a lot of engagement. We're going to be asking a lot of questions. You don't want to hear us talk the whole time. And we'd love to hear from you.
Eric, are you saying in the engagement session, we're trying to engage people?
I know it's weird, but that's what we're trying.
Love it.
Are we introducing ourselves?
Oh, we could do that just real quick. Just a brief introduction. If you just want to start, we'll start with Marcel there in Santa Fe. If you'd introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Marcel Lejeune. I'm president of the Rotary Club of Santa Fe del Sur, one of three Rotary clubs here in Santa Fe. We're probably the smallest. I think we have 9 members right now. I've been a Rotarian for going on 6 years, and this is my first term as president. And I just feel like I've got so much to learn, and I'm so glad that Rotary offers these types of trainings to kind of catch us up to speed and to help us move our club forward.
Marcel, great to have you. Marcos.
Good morning. Marcos Nava with Roswell, New Mexico. I've been a member for about 4 years. I'm the president of the club. I'm happy to be participating. I need all the information you can send my way because only 4 years and I'm still learning a lot. So thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, before we go on, I realize I made a big Rotary faux pas. I should have introduced Richard first as our district governor and then Tom. So Richard, would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning, Richard Haas, District Governor for 23-24, and a member of the Las Cruces Rio Grande Rotary Club. Oh, and you know, it's contrary to what the news is saying, it's very cool in southern New Mexico and West Texas. And my shirt was white when I started out this morning, but you can see the heat has already moved it into the maroon color. So I think we're all trying to bear through this this heat wave we're having.
I wanted to make sure I introduced Richard so it doesn't cut my pay. You know, I rely on that.
Yeah. I'll double it, Eric.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Tom, if you would introduce yourself.
Tom Walker. I'm the vice governor this year, also the global grants chair and a few other things. So if you haven't already signed up for by district, do that. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Albuquerque, and I was president a long time ago, and a governor almost as long ago.
Tom, real quick, on the by district,
Yes.
I just got somebody was messaging me, asking me where it was, what hotel was being held. Apparently they said they went online and registered, but they never got any information as to where it was and when. So if you might at some point say it today before the meeting's over.
Well, it's really easy. It's the DoubleTree in downtown El Paso, right off the freeway. It's Friday, Saturday, 25, 26 August.
Martine, we can resend out the email that had all the information to you, and that way you can forward it to them.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
was somebody on the call. I didn't, I mean, they were just direct messaging me because my name was Martine and they were asking me if I was the Martine doing
okay.
the district.
No,
So
that's the other Martine.
Yeah, and I told him that.
Well, Martine, if you'd go ahead and introduce yourself.
Martine Lopez, president of the Rotary Club of El Paso. And behind me here is my wife, Jessica. She just joined us, what, 2 weeks ago? Officially?
No,
Or
it's been a month.
Oh, it's been a month already. Wow. She's been a month and she's already heading up our RILA program for us. So she's doing great.
Glad to have you all. Margie, would you introduce yourself?
Margie Marino, Rotary Club of Albuquerque. I'm not an officer or anything. I just looked at this as an opportunity to re-engage myself. So I've been struggling to get re-engaged after I changed careers, and at my age, it hasn't been that easy to do that. So, and this is a chance to really find out a little bit more about the club and how it's doing today.
Awesome. Sandy.
Good morning, Sandy Roush. I'm a member of the Del Norte Rotary Club, past president of Del Norte, assistant governor to Belen, Los Lunas, and Gallup Club, and I'm the president-elect again. I was the pandemic president, and so I've got another tour coming up next year.
In person.
And then Ames.
Hi, I'm Ames Davis. Sorry, my camera's not on. I've got some internet issues, but I am from Rotary Club of El Paso and VP of Memberships, and happy to be here. Thanks for doing this.
Perfect. We're glad you're all here. So what I'm going to do first is just share my screen real quick. We'll look at that Vibrant Club document again. And there are really the three things that we're going to focus on in this is holding club membership, or holding club meetings that are engaging. Making sure all of our members are involved in activities that really interest them, and developing strong relationships in our club. So first things first, how do we hold club meetings that keep members engaged and informed? And what I'd really like to do is hear from you. If you think that your club has really engaging meetings, what are you doing? What can others borrow from you to also make their meetings engaging?
This is Ames. I can start. Martine is our club president, and I did some research and asked some of our members what it was that they wanted, and they said, we don't want to stick to the strict agenda. We want to do something that's fun, and we want to go through this. Now we have an agenda, but it's very fluid at our meetings, and we try to stick to it the best we can, but things come up, and Martine has been so flexible to let people come in and say, hey, I want to speak today about this. And they feel engaged and they're able to participate even more. And then we have like fun little surprises that have also come up. For instance, we had an honorary member at our last meeting. We introduced a new honorary member. He's been with the club for 25 years. And has some health issues going on, but we said, if you're going to be an honorary member, we want you to be here. And so just bringing him back after him not being there for 8 months was also getting people engaged. People wanted to see him and be there, which goes along with what Martine was saying about the cards. If y'all didn't hear that earlier, we have cards that we give away, that we fill out each week to people that haven't been able to come to the meetings or haven't been there, and then we send them their cards welcoming them back, saying that we missed them. So those are just a few things. But
and I also, on social media, I follow Rotary International and several other Rotary, and they're always posting stuff like there's something called the Rotarian Minute or something like that, and I get those ideas and I send them to our admin, and then we end up, I'll just add it to the agenda as something to talk about. I like somebody posted something about the Rotary wheel, what the spokes mean, what the little key thing in the middle means. And so I shine that up, and that becomes part of our agenda for the week. So I try to use the stuff that shows up on social media, and I incorporate into our meeting. So it basically, it changes every meeting each week.
yes, it does.
There are a number of things you can use, and Rotary pretty much has them already prepared. As you probably know, every month is in the Rotary calendar marks something. Like Foundation Month is November and so forth. So that is a way of kind of shifting things up. We've had several presidents that do variations of this. Last year we had on this day in history, and a lot of weird trivia. Several years ago, the president did some fact about the club going way back, far beyond most of our members. Interesting trivia things. and one of the things I did as president is, and I had some serious discussions with our program chair, who was very good. But he thought that the meeting was all about him. And I tried to point out to him that, number one, every 3 years, half of our membership turns over. So even if they've heard it, quote, before, we've got new members that haven't heard it. Second thing is that, and again, in Albuquerque, with so many committees and projects and programs and all that stuff, there's always something going on. So you can take a minute or two to talk about the fantasy garden, or one of our many projects, or that global grant that we just got approved for, or geez, project that we're supporting with Del Norte, just got funded in Nepal. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Another thing that you can do is bring in short video. Now, I realize that not every club is wired for Zoom, but our club and several of the clubs, I think, in Albuquerque are. And you can have people Zoom in and give you a couple minutes about how whatever it is you're doing over there is really making a difference. And that's part of telling our story. So every week we have something about Rotary, because we always have new members, we always have prospective members, and of course we got our own members that are constantly changing. And it's an opportunity to tell them why they ought to be not only in our club, but in Rotary, and what makes us different from the other guys.
Just an aside to that, on the district website, every month, there's a sliding gallery at the top that has whatever Rotary month we're in. So this month is new membership and engagement. And that way, if you ever forget, you can check the website, it'll be there. It's good information. And this is one more aside, and then I'll shut up. I'm running the newsletter now, so please send me your information, all these great stories that you want to share, so that we can share them out with all of the district too. And that's another good thing to pull from what you want to talk about in your club. Maybe there'll be an article about the Albuquerque club that you want to share with your club and say, hey, look at what they're doing. Maybe this gives us an idea to do something similar. So share that stuff so that we can all be connected.
And Eric, you get that when we do the hashtag 5520, right?
Yes. When we post stuff, we're trying to tag it as Rotary 5520 so that it all is an easy place for you to find it.
So that's sending it to you.
Well, so if you post it, when I repost it on the Facebook page, I'll tag it.
Let me ask a question. Going back to Martin, I wrote myself, ask Martin this, but I go, oh, he's right here. So Martin, can you share with me the process you go when you visit Roswell Rotary International, and you copy the minutes and how you implement that to the club and share that to the club?
Say that? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, maybe you mentioned earlier that you go on the website for Rotary International.
Oh.
And you browse through the, go ahead. And
Oh,
you browse through.
so I follow Rotary International on social media.
On social media.
Yes, and so on Twitter and on Facebook. And so there's also something called the Rotarian Minute or something like that. And I mean, these are postings from all over the world. And so these things just pop up. And when I see something interesting, I do a screenshot of it and I shoot it to myself to remind me, and I shoot it, to put it into our agenda. So I'm basically always finding things, and I just put it in and I send it to our, to the person that does our newsletter. And I say, here's some things that we can add to the agenda in the future, not necessarily this week, but just more information. And that's where I got that Rotary wheel from. Yes.
And where in the agenda do you put that in? Where?
So we normally have a program, and before the program, we just have a news, upcoming news. I talk about anything that's upcoming. I talk about an event that we had recently, like quick hitters. And then, so I put it in there in that part, usually about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 4, maybe 5 max. And then we get to the part where it's the presentation, the speaker, and then we do the speaker. So I usually do it before the speaker in the agenda.
Good, thank you, Martin.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Anybody else want to share how they keep their meetings engaging? Because we've all been to those meetings where you go and it's da 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 da, and then you got to listen to somebody else da 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 da, and by the time 1 o'clock rolls around, you're all asleep. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that we're having vibrant, engaging meetings, and we're keeping our members informed.
I'll say something. I recently we had a meeting where the Ryla children or teens that were in the Ryla Club over the summer, they got to speak themselves. I found that very, very moving. And you can hear what impact you've had on these kids, and the opportunity for them to speak in public, that's just terrific for them. It's such a great educational experience for them, and they got a lot of strength. Some of the kids were so nervous, and then they got like a standing ovation because they tried so hard. And I really think that's very encouraging, and kids just don't get enough encouragement like that. So I found that extremely engaging, and it stuck with me for several days.
So just more things on our agenda, like I recognize whoever's birthday is that week, and then I recognize whoever's service anniversary happens to be in that week. And then we do guest introductions, and we let Rotarians introduce the guests that they brought in. Oh, and then we do a good news thing, and it's just literally who has good news, and so we get to hear from Rotarians, and my birth of a grandchild, or my son has just went off to college. So those things are just different things that we do, but they're part of the agenda each day and each week, and I think the members like that.
We use that as a fundraiser too. We call ours bragging bucks. So it's $1 for your good news.
Oh,
but
so the good news, yeah, we pass around a little, and anybody that wants to provide good news, they put a little bit of money in the pot. Yes.
And it's something you can do, and you can allocate that to service projects or whatever you want it to do. But it's a good way to let your club be engaged and raise a little bit of money.
Correct.
Eric, one of the things that I was thinking about is I think we don't tell our members enough about what the club is doing. And so I was thinking, I wish Rotary International had like this week in Rotary International, just a real quick down and dirty of what happened in Rotary International this week. And so we could do that for our clubs too. What did our club do this past week or this past month? Or, what are some quick things that we can, brag about? And it's great for guests to know what's going on. Because when guests come, it's great. It's social, we're talking and all, but they don't really know what we do. And I think if we could just give like a 2-minute, hey, this is what happened in our club last week. This is what we did. This is who we helped. This is why we're here. I think that would also create more inspiration for our members and our guests.
I 100% agree. Now, Rotary on the website, the Rotary News section, typically once a month, they have a world project roundup, and they'll list, 5 or 6 projects that are going on around the world that you can read about and share about. And I encourage you to share maybe one of them a meeting and see what different amazing things clubs all around the world are doing. Because Sandy's right, we don't talk enough about what good that Rotary does in the world. We tend to be a little shy about that for some reason as an organization. And it's good to talk about all the hard work that our Rotarians are doing. People forget we're all volunteers, and we can do amazing things in the world, and we've got to be better about giving out kudos for things like that.
Well, last fall, President Mark asked me to give a presentation on polio, and everybody knows about polio, don't they? Well, turns out they don't. And some people are wondering why, after all these many years, we've been at it for almost 50 years now. Why are we still having polio? Well, the amazing thing is when you go through and explain all of that, And by the way, we had a bunch of visitors, and so they got to hear about it too, but our members primarily got to hear about it and where the money goes and what the issues are and what's the difference between this virus and that virus and all the other viruses and what the plan is. It's, when we can explain that, then all of a sudden we have nearly 40 polio plus society members because they understood.
And that's a failing, I think, in our club is we give a donation in the name of whoever our speaker is each week to Polio Plus. But I don't think enough of our members really understand that program, that they could explain why we do that to the speaker that they brought. So it's good to refresh that every so often and say, hey, what we're doing matters, even every little bit. And when we make our speakers a part of that, that's something they can be proud of. They're part of something bigger than themselves. And it's just an information thing.
You're right, Eric, because Ames brought up something recently. She was asking me what we do a random acts of kindness thing. We have little buckets on our cables where we ask people to put just their spare change. But she says, I've been in Rotary 2 years and I don't really understand what that is. And so some of the things that I've been doing is going back to basics and actually explaining things that we do that most of us take for granted every day, every time we meet. And I have been getting feedback saying, you know what, that was great. I didn't understand why we did it. I knew we did it, but I didn't understand why and what we were using the money for. Random acts of kindness is literally just change and everything that we gather. And then we ask our club, we ask them, hey, do you know somebody who needs a little bit of money, somebody who can't pay their electric bill? And these are literally random acts of kindness. We just find something and we give them, $100 or $200, and then we come back and tell the club what we use that money for. A lot of the new people didn't understand what those little buckets were for. They knew we were doing it, but they didn't know why. I mean, so those are the kind of things that a new person, and I thank Ames for asking those questions. Like, she wasn't the only one that didn't know. So, going back to basics and explaining some of the things that you do on a daily basis and why you did is not a bad thing also.
That's exactly right.
I think it also, I don't know that we've been tracking it, but I feel like more people tend to give now that they understand.
What an idea.
I'm stealing it. So.
And can I just put a plug in that I was shocked that only 30% of Rotarians give to our RI Foundation. Only 30% give. And
by the way, that's a worldwide number, and it's
worldwide.
I don't even number too. By the way, just looking at the Hollywood squares here, seems like with Jen, with the exception of you and Marcel, every one of us is from a large club. And believe me, I do understand large clubs are different from small clubs. So I wonder if there's something that small clubs do that we don't.
I know these are being recorded, but are the other ones being recorded as well so that we can go back and view those?
Yes.
That's the plan.
Thank you. It would be interesting to see those and see what they're doing as well.
Just to respond to Tom about small clubs, our membership, when I joined our club going on 6 years ago, we had about 20 members. And then we obviously did not pay attention to recruiting. And then COVID came and it just really decimated our membership. And so we are in a rebuilding mode. So we're trying to, I'm taking notes furiously during this breakout session to bring ideas back to our club. We're having a membership drive at a retirement community on the 14th of August. And that may seem like an odd place to have a membership drive for Rotary, but I thought that here are folks that they're retired, they have the time to be involved in activities. Most of them are highly educated and they have the financial means to support Rotary. And so I'm looking at this as kind of a pilot project. If we gain a significant number of members there, we'll take it on the road to go to other retirement communities in the Santa Fe area. And even if some of these folks, because of their age or physical health can't participate physically in some of the projects, they can be of great service in terms of committee assignments and organizing it. So that's what we're looking at doing just as an initial step in rebuilding our club.
Well, you know, one of the things that, and I suspect some of the other clubs do this as well. The board had a rather serious discussion about whether to remain hybrid or just go in person. And we stayed hybrid, and that was one of the reasons, because we have members that just, you know, have trouble getting out. Plus, we have several that have relocated to the UK, France, and a couple other places that tune in. And I do understand that there is a financial commitment to do that, because you got to have the hardware and the software and all that stuff. But that is one of the reasons we do that, to fully service, you know, all our members.
So we've got about 4 minutes left, and I did a bad job facilitating because we got through one of our 3 things. So we're going to make an on-the-fly adjustment, and we're going to spend the next room on part 2, and then the third breakout on part 3. So I encourage you to go back and watch all 3 recordings so that you can get a feel. Because it's been great discussion. I don't want to stop you and say, hey, we have to talk about this next. So we're gonna finish up here. We've got about 3 minutes left now. How are you? I just have a question. How are you keeping your clubs informed? Do you have a newsletter? What are you doing maybe there that everybody who may not make it to every meeting is being kept aware of what you do?
We have a running banner of all the news that runs throughout the meeting. Well, not throughout the meeting, but in the early stages of the meeting. And I find it very helpful to find out what events are going on and what's, you know, any individual announcements. So that's running constantly at the front of the room while announcements are being made.
So y'all have like a stock ticker that runs through announcements?
Yes, yeah.
We need one of those. I like it.
Well, actually, it's a PowerPoint that, you know, does 15 seconds or whatever the timing is, and it's a series of slides on stuff.
Okay.
In our club used to have a physical newsletter that went out. It ended up costing us about $7,000 a year. You know, labor doesn't cost anything in Rotary. It's just the cost of the printing. Since then, what we have done is we have a weekly reminder that comes out always on Friday, and it'll be resent on Monday, talking about all sorts of things. Sign up for this, that, and the other thing. And this is our program. And our programs are all over the place. We've had one for the solar eclipse. You know, it's going over Albuquerque and at the end of the Balloon Fiesta. And a couple weeks ago, it's how our makeup is killing us. I mean, just a wide variety of topics. And we don't seem to get locked into hearing from university professors 8 weeks in a row or something anymore.
So we do send out a weekly newsletter and the agenda, but it's electronically. So they go out electronically to people's emails. And then the weekly newsletter will recap any event that we've done, any projects that we've done. And that's where we have the birthdays and the service anniversaries and stuff like that on the newsletter.
What you do is you induct a print shop owner into your club, and they can't say no, and then they print your bulletin every week. Because that's their way.
Ours is electronic. We don't print anything.
So, you know, that's how you get around that.
Would it be possible to be included in some of the other clubs' email list, those that send out weekly newsletters, so that we can see what's going on? Maybe we capture a nice idea and so forth. If that will be possible, I would enjoy that, and then I will do the same of that anyone that requests to be included in our weekly newsletter.